Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Casco Township Planning Commission. Good to see all of you.
Oh, it's somebody else.
We will have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and the flag is at the rear, just so you know. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin tonight, we lost a true patriot, a true friend, Wayne Hogarden, and who did so much for our township and for all of us as citizens of Casco. So if we could, for just a moment, have a moment of silence for him. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. And also just to let you know, when you see me taking my glasses off and putting them back on about 16 times, I had some issues with my eyes. It's cataract surgery. And a few things are not quite right yet. In fact, it wouldn't be for my son. I probably wouldn't have glasses yet tonight. I borrowed them from him. So with that, John is going to bail me out again. And he's going to run the meeting for us. And so be patient with us a little bit, if you will. And so we will begin.
All right. So we want to make that move on the adjustment to the agenda now.
Well,
before we make the approval of the agenda.
The approval of the minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We don't have to review this. Go ahead.
No, right.
All right. All right, so the first item here is the approval of the minutes from last month's meeting, January 16th, 24. I have a motion to approve the minutes from January's meeting.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a quick adjustment to the agenda for tonight before we approve tonight's agenda. Under new business, letter C, the election of the planning commission officers, we're missing several members of the planning commission. So we are going to move that item to next month's agenda. That will be the election of planning commission officers will take place in March. A regular scheduled March meeting. Other than that, I believe everything looks good. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight with the edit of moving the election of planning commission officers to next month?
I'll approve.
Make a motion. Can I get a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Okay.
Can I make an adjustment to
Of
the
course.
agenda? I believe it says special land use application for Raymond Bowick. It's actually just home occupation.
And she didn't
It's
get
not
the new
special
agenda.
use.
Mine says home
Yeah,
occupation.
mine
Oh, I'm, okay,
occupation,
sorry.
too.
I'm
Maybe I
looking
got
at
updated
the
after
next
yourself.
one.
You didn't get the updated one from the supervisor, I don't
Okay,
think.
thank you.
All right, so we're good there. Next item on the agenda is communications. Any communications to be speak
That
of?
I'm aware of.
No.
Steve, anything?
No.
Okay. Karen? Okay.
All right, moving on. Item number 6, this is discussion from the floor. This is where residents have the opportunity to address the planning commission on any business other than the master plan 5-year update. If there's any questions regarding the upcoming items, I would ask that you please wait until we get to that. But if you have anything that's not on the agenda and you wish to address the planning commission, please step forward.
Just a question, that maybe it's just me, because
Sure.
I'm not real tech savvy. Looking for the agenda, I went like, online, I went, tapped everything, and all I kept coming up with, are you guys putting into practice a new website or something?
The
So
website's
nothing's
down.
not on? Or it's just down?
It's down today.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just temporary
Okay.
down.
Thank you.
Can I have your name, please?
Oh, sorry, Joyce Kispersky.
This is a little scary thought, by the way. I went to school with Joyce and Keller.
Stop, no.
That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
That was a couple of years ago.
There we go.
Yeah, that was one of the terrible things that the township did back, is to take that school down. Shame on them when they did that. It would have been a great historical site.
Where was that?
Oh, Church.
Right on the
Meisner.
corner of Church and Meisner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right
that-
across from Joe's Bar was the
Yeah.
landmark.
Yep.
Almost as good as Joe's Bar.
Yeah. Well, we used to go over there to get our pop and candy bars.
And that's where the politics of Casco was discussed.
That is correct.
Make that a historical site.
Sorry, John.
All right, let's get back to business. Item number 7, old business. We have a revised site plan review for the Perch Point Conservation Club. This site plan was first reviewed last month, and I think there were some questions by members of the board. So we'd like to invite Perch Point, or the representatives of Perch Point, to step forward, and we can do their site plan review.
What can I answer?
What's your name?
Dave Armstrong. Hello, Steve.
I'm the engineer that was working with them on this project. So I'm here to, Stephen Whittaker. So I'm here to help field questions.
That's for the next one. It's actually for the next. Oh, this one, yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Our question was,
Yeah. So a couple of questions that we had, and there was nobody from Perch Point here last month to answer these questions. One of the questions was, or one of the things stated in the proposal was to demolish 2 buildings and replace them with the installation of a single structure. Can you clear up for us the 2 buildings you're talking about? One of those is the building that burned down, and that building's
Correct.
already been demolished?
And we
cleared
had
up?
a utility garage 13 feet away from that.
Adjacent, and that is still standing?
No, that was,
Lost in the fire as well?
no, not lost in the fire, but it was
During demo,
very
like-
old, and it had been added onto a couple times. The concrete was, so we made an executive decision and that came down.
Okay, so in terms of the progress of your project, the demolition of those 2 buildings is already complete?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And then you plan to installation of a new single structure, and that's kind of what you're looking at here from your drawing and your designs and that kind of thing, right?
Correct, yep. We'll turn into an L-shaped building instead of a rectangle.
And you are the engineer, sir?
Yes,
And I'm sorry, your name again?
Stephen.
Steve. Oh, there we go. Pleasure.
Yeah, Karen, if you want to chime in here, anything that you have on this?
Yes, so, like it was discussed, the applicant is basically building, 1 new building in the footprint of where those 2 previous buildings were. The new building is gonna be 10,875 square feet, measuring 20 feet in height. The existing parking on the west side of the building will continue to be used. The building is intended to be used for various activities, including scouting activities, archery activities, community activities, and storage purposes. And when we review the standards for shooting ranges, gun clubs, and similar uses, it does meet the standards of that section of the zoning ordinance. This site is part of a special land use, and whenever you're looking at a site plan update for a special land use, you do review what the conditions were placed on when they originally had that special land use granted. So the conditions that were placed on Perch Point were the following uses. They would have educational classes, holiday parties for children, trap shooting, archery ranges, fishing tournaments, club picnics, and weekend campouts. pistol, black powder range, in addition to the above rentals for weddings and banquets. And the annual winter festival are permitted as long as they do not expand upon the existing level of activity. Porcupine Conservation Club is a private club open to members only. The application has provided testimony that no significant membership expansion of the existing operation is proposed as part of this application. And so I guess the question is, you know, are the activities that are occurring, are they still in the same spirit and capacity as what was originally granted? Or is there been an expansion of use? And if that is the case, then it's just, we would have to do just a special land use review, which will require a public hearing. So that separates it from just a standard site plan update. So these are just questions for the applicant that they can confirm or clear up to the planning commission.
Okay.
One thing on that year list that was on ours that I had entered in, we host 3 Boy Scout, Cub Scout troops also.
Okay.
That's on that list, so that's,
Do we have a date in which that original special land use was?
That was in 1993.
So I guess the question to the applicant becomes, has your operation expanded outside of, or grown much significantly larger than what was originally permitted in 1993 for the special land use? Is that right, Karen?
Yeah, and like, you know, obviously things change. Maybe there was activities that no longer occurred, but I guess they're wondering, like, I think the big concern is, has the activity use intensified? Are there more occupants on site than maybe previously were in 1993?
I wasn't there then. So I've been there 13 years. Cliff's been there longer.
I've been there 20 years, it hasn't grown much.
Okay. I know, didn't we talk last month when we reviewed this about the intended use of the new building, and whether or not it was storage?
As a storage unit, as a storage facility. Now we're talking archery ranges and using it as a public facility.
Correct.
Yeah, they do indoor archery, and then in August, they move it outdoors and have a walk-through range back in the woods.
See, the reason that we brought that up was because in your application here, it says that the proposed demolition of 2 buildings in the southwest corner, in the new building, the existing parking of the building will continue to be used. The buildings are intended to be used for storage purposes. So there's some different regulations, right? If you're using a building strictly for storage, or if it's going to be open to the public for public activities, such as an indoor shooting
Club
range.
activities.
Okay, club activities.
Yes.
So it's,
Well, we've got equipment, lawnmowers, side by side that hauls these clay pigeons out to the range. We've got a big tractor with a brush hog. That got lost in the fire, but we are gonna replace it.
and I don't have I don't have a problem with you using the building for multi-use.
Well, that's gonna be probably where that garage, the smaller L-shaped building, and the larger one is where the archery range is gonna be.
Okay.
We're talking predominantly storage use though, and some winter archery use. You're talking a couple of guys in there once in a while.
Yeah,
You're
and
not
the
talking,
Boy Scouts hold their meetings in there.
Predominant use of storage.
One of the things that I'm really having a problem with, guys, is the floor plan. You know, typically when we look at an application, we have a floor plan that we can see what the uses of that location is going to be. It allows us also to look how that relates to the site with respect to ADA and the parking for ADA, ramps, all those kinds of things. And that's what I'm really missing here, is trying to understand what you are going to use the space for. And
Do you have the documents from, I don't mean to interrupt you, do you have the documents from Tree League Design?
yeah,
Those are the floor plans provided by the designer.
but it's not a floor plan. It doesn't even meet our criteria for site plan review. You understand what I'm saying?
It just dries.
We need a,
Which drawing are you referring?
well, I'm referring to the floor plan.
No, I guess the one that he's talking about. That
Oh,
we have.
he's referring to
The
the,
tree blade,
To this one.
the structural layout.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about drawings for a pole building, is basically what it amounts to, correct?
Exactly, that's what it is. Like you said, predominantly storage,
Right.
storage facility.
Which, we understand, and I get it. The issue becomes, what are we doing with the space? And I'm hearing you, I think you folks know what you want to do, but we need to understand when you get your CO, that what that space is what we approved. We've been having some real problems, David, in this township with people deciding to show us storage, and later on it becomes a number of different things.
Yeah, no, it's,
So.
we have our winter carnival to where, we have people come out there
Oh, yeah.
and,
I can't tell you the number of great times I have had in your establishment.
okay,
It's just such a positive for the township. But for us, we've got to try and meet a zoning ordinance. And it's pretty well spelled out in the zoning ordinance what we want to see on a presentation. We don't have that here.
well, you don't have the blueprints, because I haven't given them to you yet, of the building.
Okay, but how about the floor plan? I mean, you guys have to know somewhat what you're going to do.
It's right here. You want to look at it?
Please.
Is this what you're talking about, the floor plan?
Yeah.
Man, this is kind of,
This is what you're interested in, I can.
that just expanded this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
Expanded version of this?
We've seen that. Where are they shooting arrows? Where are they shooting their
From
pellet guns?
this elevated and underneath here, down here 25 yards. At full-size body, deer, and there's elk, and there's bear, and they have these full-body targets.
Okay,
And that's what they shoot at, from underneath floor level,
Okay.
straight horizontal.
Okay.
And then these stairs, and then they shoot from this rail, from an elevated position. This is a elevated mezzanine, raised deck, it's 12 feet off the floor.
sounds like fun.
But they have this whole end was a kid's pellet gun leak. And that got burned up, so we're going to start a new one. And they have little bullet catchers that go here, they have those 177 air rifles. And that's what, and the kids run it from, I think, 10 to 16.
I bet they have fun.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a big group of kids that do that.
Yeah. But somewhere in here, you've got an office, I think. You've got,
Just this little, it's an archery office to where they keep parts.
okay,
That's all that is.
you're gonna have storage, correct? You're
Yeah.
gonna have people shooting.
Right.
We need to get an idea of how that lays out. We need a floor plan, at least I do. It's not making a lot of sense to me right now. I get the gist, I understand where you're going.
Well, I can't fill this up with anything because it's wide open for archery. So that's, we're not gonna,
But there are targets and the arrows go some way,
just all to the north.
okay?
Yeah.
All right, so you could show the stations and you can show the targets.
Yeah, they have stations, these are posts that hold a header up, and that's a elevated
Mezzanine, basically?
mezzanine,
Right.
yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying? Kind of,
You wanna know where I'm keeping every chair?
not everyone, no.
What do you
Just
wanna
give me an
know?
idea of what these spaces exist. Let me read something to you, and maybe it'll make it a little bit easier of what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do. In our zoning ordinance on page 79, not to get technical, but I mean, the design of the forgive me, Dave.
Do you want me to read that?
What?
Do you want me to read it?
No, I got it. The design of the facility shall clearly show that safety of persons on and off the site is guaranteed. This shall mean that no projectile of any kind may be permitted to leave the site unless a safety requirement is clearly indicated by the design plans. A permit shall not be issued until that's done. The design of all ranges shall incorporate the recommended safety features of the National Rifle Association or similar safety procedures. That's what we're dealing with.
Mhm.
Like, we understand, but we need to see it. We need to know what's going on here. And before we can pass this really on to the building department, we need to get that resolved.
So,
Also,
the archery chairperson, and you want him to draw his animals in here?
I'd like you to have an architect, or even however you want to do it, one of your professionals, however you want to handle it. We just need to find that out. And the other thing is, will there be any restroom facilities in this space at all?
No, they go to the main building.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does the main building offer ADA required restrooms?
yes,
They do.
yes.
Okay. We're probably gonna suggest to you that you also take this to the county health department and let them review it. This is somewhat of a different animal we're dealing with. So,
Okay,
to-
it's just replacing one that was there.
Well,
This is,
Okay,
this
I
is just
know.
a new structure, fresh paint, that's all.
fresh paint, yeah, I'll grant you on that one. And how big is it? Steve, I.
80
10,000.
by 120.
It's also marked on our site plans, and we've got the square footage on the site plans.
Okay. The,
The only caution I would give is you have an 80-foot wide building with a 412 pitch. You're gonna be really close to that 35-foot maximum height allowance. So just keep that in mind. If you have even a slight variation in your trusses, you may exceed that. That's the only thing I have on the dimensions of the building itself.
And what does that interfere with?
The ordinance says that the building can't be taller than 35 feet.
That's, okay, just an ordinance, not flight direction of any aircraft or anything?
No.
Okay. Because we got a flagpole, probably taller than that.
The cell phone tower right next to you
Right
is
next
much
to it.
taller than that. But
Yes.
it's a building, or the planning, it's a ordinance, right, for the overall height of a structure.
yes. And Stephen, what I also, we've got parking for a number of uses. Okay, let's put that right. What I'm seeing, or what I'm gathering from this, from the existing building, we have X number of stalls that we need.
Yeah, precisely, yes. Plus the requirements from the additional building.
From the additional beds.
So if I'm memory serves, the additional building required, the replacement building requires something like 17 stalls. So that plus what was there for the existing building, for the gathering building, we had adequate parking for that use case.
Okay.
You said the building 120 deep or 140? I think you said verbally 120, but your plan here shows 140, so I'm just clearing that up. I'm sure the design is probably accurate, right?
It's in your
We
top
made it
bucket.
20 feet longer, 20 feet wider. Just at the request of the archery guys that wanted, of course, a little more of a shot.
Never build a barn and say, I wish I built it smaller, right?
There you go.
But the other one was 60 by 100,
Okay.
to give you a comparison.
So Stephen, on the existing building and your breakout on the existing building, you've got 7,290 square feet.
Yes.
The total from that building is 9720. Your calculations, you're coming up with 140 stalls.
If you're applying the full use of the code, which we gave the use cases, the gentleman who provided the actual use cases for the building, because if you're going to go by the Michigan Building Code and the egress requirements, you're at, I think it was 15 square foot per individual. The building is never utilized at that rate. So the current parking that they have was satisfactory for any of the events that we had discussed, even pertaining to the special land use permit, where they're not growing things, they're not shrinking things. The parking that was there was satisfactory, even more than what was needed. So I want to say we had something like 54 spots, and the calculations showed with 150 people occupying the gathering building, you'd have a requirement of like 53. So there were adequate parking spaces for the use and the way they're using the property.
The parking in the southeast corner of the lot, of the existing lot?
The east side of the building or the
East side-
west?
The east side of the building?
Yeah, east side,
On
yeah.
that side, Dave?
Yeah.
We're not showing any parking here at all. That it's not even, it's stone, right?
No,
Gravel.
concrete goes out about 150 feet,
For 100, okay, that's right.
and
Yeah.
then it's stone for another 200,
Okay,
which is all parking.
all parking. I was by there, just happened to be going out to dinner, and this was, gosh, February 3rd, Saturday night. And there was parking on Meisner Road on both sides.
That was for a special event,
Okay. And so.
and we parked the cars too, to crowd them in. If you let people park themselves,
It's a problem.
we get 40, 50 more cars in there if we park them.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. My point is, what, typically on a building like that, what does the fire marshal allow you in your area? Is there a sign or something that says total capacity?
Just the main hall, not,
Yeah, the main hall.
do you know what it is, Cliff?
I think it's 260 for the main hall, and then there's some more for the club
For
room.
the club
that's
room,
attached
yeah.
to
For
it,
the club room in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm going with this, guys, is I'm trying to separate it, and yes, you almost gotta look at it as a total development. And this is where it gets a little confusing. So what we need to do is make sure, obviously, that you have the parking that's needed for your establishment. You're telling us that that's the case.
Well, we own all that property all the way out to Palms, and it's been discussed to put another 100-car parking lot on the far west side, you know, right next to where,
Yeah.
yeah, right there.
So you're maybe thinking of putting another curb cut out there someday, or?
No, it'd be from our side, not off Meisner.
Not off?
We've got two entrances off Meisner, and I think we feel that that's enough.
Okay.
It would be off of our parking lot, and it would just be an extension of our existing parking lot. And it would be gravel, there's no reason to, we're gonna have concrete up to it, so.
And you have approval for the stone lot from the ZBA, is that correct? Is that?
Yes, the applicant received a variance from the ZBA to have unpaved parking lot with the exception of 10 barrier-free parking spaces, which are unpaved. That was back in 1990. It's expanded since then. There's more than 10 paved parking spaces on your lot. But they did get ZBA approval. What exactly that specific language was, we'll have to look at the ZBA minutes, but that was cited in the last special land use.
So that was a while back. Oh, okay. All right,
And we keep improving it, but it doesn't get bigger. You know, we put it out to all our edges, and we keep bringing millings in and,
Yeah.
you know, grade it and keep it accessible. We plow it in the winter.
yeah. Well, you do a good job. No, that's not a problem. And we understand when you've got that size of development, and we can appreciate what you're going through there. So, you know, my biggest, I guess where it's really the site plan and the floor plan, and how the floor plan is gonna be somewhat designed. and be able to show us how it works. Lot lights, you know, that is a requirement, we need to see where they are. And if there's a whole litany of wonderful things in the ordinance that we need to look at, and we will, in order to get your approval. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we're not trying to, I don't want you guys to walk away that we're trying, oh, let's just pick on you guys, you know, that's not the case here. We all of us here enjoy what you've provided over there, no doubt. But we do have an ordinance, we do have to follow it, and what you may want to do, and I'm gonna ask, Roland?
Yes, sir. I had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
3 or 4. I didn't get a little bit of the others because I was too busy interrupting the proceedings with my phone. But
There you go.
I apologize. I had a few questions that I'd like to raise a little bit. This is going to be, use is going to be use as far as no storage or anything like that?
Well, we're gonna probably store a bunch of our extra tables, and we have a wedding or something.
Well, I
and
mean, as an everyday thing, like you said, tractors and so on.
That's gonna probably be in this smaller barn.
And how far away will that be?
No, it's bordering, it's the same building.
It's in the same building, attached.
Yes.
Oh, well, so then you're multi-use then, right?
Yeah, and this whole wing here is gonna be all tables and chairs, because we've got, you know, quite a few. And when we don't use them, we put them away. We gotta get them out of the main room
Sure.
to use it for the next group
Sure.
that's coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I was here, and I was the inspector for the original building.
Were you?
Not a good situation at all. It was a bad situation. But we had to go through a lot of stuff to get that thing passed. So I think that's what everybody's trying to address here today.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't know
Yeah,
what.
no, you weren't, but I was. So, this is probably what we want to eliminate, those problems. And one of them would be that storage area.
Mm-hmm.
I would address it when I'm doing the plan review.
Yeah, well, this whole thing here is storage. That's gonna be the banquet tables and chairs for the main room.
Okay.
And when we set chairs up in here, I mean, otherwise you open the door and you let a bunch of 13-year-old Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts and,
Bad thing.
well, you know, you put a few round tables in for them, and that's where they do their projects.
Sure.
Then when they leave, they pack it all up and push it up against the wall. So as far as storage, yeah, we store those tables for the Boy Scouts when they're not using them. We set a bunch of tables on this second level, and then the kids set up their rifles and stuff for this air league that shoots against this. We have a guy makes our bullet catchers, and you know, they're all angles and stuff for pellet guns. It's not a firearm, it's a pellet gun. Cock them and shoot. And then that's for like 10 to 15-year-olds or 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
So that's,
Roland, is your concern the storage of like farm equipment and motorized
Yeah.
equipment, not storage of tables and chairs, right?
No, I'm not worried about that kind of stuff.
okay, the motorized stuff is all gonna stay in here, in this extra building it was detached, and that we're attaching it.
So they're gonna be rated though, I mean, as far as fire rating and so on, is it showing on the print? For fire rating from there to the main building?
Probably it'll have to have a firewall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that building's never gonna have heat in it. It's strictly gonna be a pole barn.
Well, that's today, you know, I mean,
Yep, so this building will have heat.
So what he's saying is your print has to call this out as a firewall,
Okay.
because this is not storage and this is storage of gasoline powered equipment.
Yes.
You know, and it's very likely that you'll store some gas cans in there probably, or something to that effect, and you have this shared wall, there has to be a fire rating there.
Okay. Which would be,
you know, it's obvious, it was a total loss, I mean.
yes, it was.
Obviously, you know, we have concerns, at least I,
Sure. Yeah, we all do.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's even my problem really, as far as use goes, and what it should be called out as. Not just strictly, you know, for other than the shooting and that, it should be storage.
Yeah,
This
but
one has
Do these
to-
plans, do these sets of plans include your mechanical and electrical? No?
No, this, what I went through an architect and he put something on paper just so I could show some people. That's what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of things in the code and the ordinance that aren't shown here on your drawings that are required to be shown for site plan approval. Lighting is one of them, both on the building or in the parking lot, electrical plan, right, heating plan, like these things are things that,
Mr.
Well-
Chair, can I
Yeah.
speak for a moment?
Yeah.
A lot of times when projects are going through site plan review, the architect or developer has not yet hired structural, electrical, mechanical, because they don't know if the project's gonna get approved or not.
Yeah, we haven't even discussed that part
Fire
of it yet.
suppression, I understand these concerns. Some of these items though, those contractors don't even get hired to start drawing it up until they get site plan approval, because they don't know if the project's gonna go through or not. And for site plan review, we do have the concerns about the activities going on, because, we wanna make sure everyone's gonna be safe, whether it's storing vehicles or doing archery or pellet gun activities, we'll need to see that. But, for site plan review, we don't need to see fire suppression systems. And for, this is unique because of what we wanna see inside the building is due to the, standards for the, shooting range, gun club. But for most site plans, unless it's called out in a specific thing, the entire floor plan does not necessarily need to be seen at the site plan level. That comes in for building code, for roll into review. Because like I said, for site plan approval, a lot of times the electrical, mechanical, fire suppression, those drawings haven't even been created yet, because they don't even know if the project's going to occur.
God bless you.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what we're really talking about, Karen. It's not electrical, mechanical, what, and I should speak for me. What I'm trying to do is get a floor plan that typifies what you're gonna be doing with it. And we need to meet that particular code section for safety. You brought that up. And Steve and I have talked about that a lot over the years with what may or may not happen out there. So that's what we're up to, Dave.
Mhm.
Okay? We'd like to see maybe, the materials on the elevations. What is it?
Exterior,
Yeah.
it's gonna be 22 gauge steel,
22
pole
gauge
barn
steel.
siding, 22.
Is it gonna
gauge.
match somehow your existing building and all, or is it?
We're gonna stay with the browns, except we're talking about putting a skirt at the bottom.
Yeah.
So a dark brown skirt with a dark brown roof.
Okay.
That's,
But-
the other roof was asphalt.
But you understand what, to me, in order for us to really be able to locate where the handicap stalls, parking stalls, ramps.
They're all
are gonna
marked.
be, they're not on here though.
Well, that's not part of this building, that's the existing. That's been there for,
You're not gonna have any handicap stalls in your new building at all? Now, do you?
I
let me
guess
just
we
tell
could
you, I assume.
spray blue lines instead of yellow in
Well,
front of the new one, but
okay.
we put them in front of the other building that's being used right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when
that's-
you open this building up,
Okay, well then that's
you're
to be
gonna have,
determined, yeah.
it's gonna be determined.
Well, we'll put,
I.
see, the main entrance, let me explain something. The main building is over here.
Okay.
And everything that goes into this building, people go through here first. This building is gonna be locked except for members that have keys. And they're gonna come through this sidewalk down here, and I created a wall here because you can't walk in from the outside down range of a bow and arrow target area. So I created this wall, so you're gonna come in behind these people. So that's the only thing I made an adjustment for the archery group. No one, whoever walks in this door is never gonna walk in front of anybody shooting a bow.
That's what we're all after.
That's safety
And
first. So
a
that's what-
person, a young person who may be handicapped, where would they park? Who's gonna shoot?
They're gonna have to park in front of the other building. Everybody goes through the other building. They sign in, they pay their dues,
This is a security thing.
then they go out here, the group that shoots archery comes out, and then they come as a group. The Boy Scouts, they come in here, all their materials are in the other room, or most of them burned up, so now they're gonna have to recreate. They bring boxes in and put their Boy Scout for each troop, and their storage so when they come,
Gotcha.
they don't have to haul it back and forth.
Which
So,
makes sense.
so that's a storage box, so I'll write that on there.
I
Troop number, whatever, storage box.
216.
That's what they use. And then there's a row of lockers up here, second floor, that they lock all these air rifles in. That's a secured area, so that's storage, I guess. So we can write in rifle storage for air relief.
Perfect. That's what we'd like to see. Is your,
But I mean, so Keith, here's my question.
yeah,
He's obviously gonna have to get more detailed drawings when he does hire mechanical, electrical contractors, all this stuff. If all we're looking at is, does the site plan request match what the ordinance follows, we're gonna get into the rest of these nitty-gritty detailed drawings that, through the rest of the process. I mean, I think, based on what he's showing us, it meets what we need to see for a basic site plan review, right? I mean, storage and,
go ahead, John.
no, I mean, just like whether storage is gonna be on the first floor or second floor, whether it's gonna be lockers or boxes, I mean,
There's our responsibility. And at least what I'm looking at, for me, is that is met, at least with the floor plan. I'm not talking about mechanical, Dave. I'm not talking about electrical.
This
Steve.
being the floor plan, here to here.
Yeah.
So-
You show us, archery or whatever's gonna be here.
Yeah.
This is storage here, this is office here, that type of thing. That's what we're at. I would suggest this, and Roland, correct me if I'm wrong, and to the planning commission that we have a meeting here in the township hall with you, Dee, and we just kind of walk through this. So you're only gonna do this not 14 times, we just want to do it once. Because we want to talk a little bit about the landscaping, we want to talk about, some of the things that are in the ordinance as to what is required on a site plan. And you've straightened me out, truthfully, as to how that works. If there is someone coming in here who wants to shoot, we have to have security on the building, I understand that. That's what we're at.
Yeah, that all comes from the original building, and then
Yeah.
they filter out to this.
Yeah.
This is the use building, that's home.
Makes all kinds of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, the bar's in there too.
There's a letter in here, I interrupted you. Are you okay? There's a letter in here from John Monte that needs to be addressed. Okay. And we could do that at that meeting. We could have John here also. So that there's some things, again, that may be a gray area for us, but for you, it's right here, it's night and day. It's the real world. I get it.
Understand.
Okay. Would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Are we okay with that?
We can arrange that, yes.
Then, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we postpone this tonight. For any type of action. Steve, Karen, we obviously are gonna invite you. Karen will keep me on the straight and narrow where I'm supposed to be. And we will have you in the township all in the morning or something, when we all can meet, have a cup of coffee.
I'm available whenever you want.
We can walk it through. That's my suggestion. I would like to make, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that as a motion, that we have a, call it a study group session between us and the Birch Point Conservation Club representatives at our township hall.
So as we are addressing these things on the site plan, what landscaping things we have to address? Because when we did the site plan, we went through the landscaping requirements, which indicated 5 feet of green space, which we more than comply with on our site plans. So landscaping is one thing you address, I want to know so I can go back and make these.
That's exactly the type of things we're gonna talk about.
Okay, so in that case, the landscaping is, we already have that addressed.
Then we shouldn't have any problem.
And if we look at John Monte's letter, we owe them a section for the dumpster enclosure, which we will provide, but that's atypical to provide that on a early site plan approval plan. But everything else is already on our plans.
Yeah,
That
we did-
dumpster location has been there for years.
The dumpster, but now they want an enclosure for it. So what I'm trying to mitigate here
To
is
make
every
it harder
time
for
we
the
do
guy to
this,
use it.
we're dipping down into these guys' pockets and spending more of their money.
Well,
And it's not our fee, it's not our fee, we're not charging, we did what we did, we're gonna see them through it. But a dumpster enclosure, we're adding another, what, $15,000 to $20,000. A parking lot addition, whatever we're gonna do, we keep adding more and more and more money to replace a building that is essentially a replacement of an existing building and an existing use base.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what you want me to say. I've got a motion on the floor,
Okay.
and if someone wants to second that
Steve,
motion.
did you have something?
I just wanted to say that when a development is upgraded in any way, shape, or form, added onto, you've got to meet the current township standards, and it requires things like dumpster enclosures and increased landscaping, and that is a requirement of site plan approval.
We do show the dumpster enclosure on our plan.
Perfect. Do they have that?
They do have that, yes.
Okay, then we just want to make sure it's correct. Yeah.
We will do that at the meeting. We don't have a second. Yeah, we might not get a second, so here we are.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, and a second. Steve, or Keith, just for the record, could you restate the motion, just so I'm clear of what we're doing here?
Let me back up.
That's fine.
With respect to the Birch Point Conservation Club, I make a motion that we follow the criteria in section 43C, number B, page 79 of the zoning ordinance. And the design of the facility shall clearly show the safety of persons on and off the site is guaranteed.
Okay, we have a motion, have a second.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Okay.
All right, we're gonna move on to new business. New business A, the home occupation application from Mr. Raymond Bowick, guitar repair business at 3418 Palms Road.
Okay,
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
thank you.
We have a copy of these ones. Yeah, we can share it. Yeah. All right, sir, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about what you are bringing forth tonight, what you're hoping to achieve with your home occupation.
Well, it's a guitar repair business, if you want to call it a business, it's going to be a business. Just to repair guitars, set up guitars, stuff like that. I want to kind of give back to the community. Guitars, when you buy a guitar these days, you can spend $100 on a guitar, you can spend $900 on a guitar.
Sure.
You would think the $900 guitar is a good guitar, a good playable guitar. You'd be wrong.
Okay.
It really ain't no different than a $100 guitar. It has to be, the neck has to be straightened out, the frets have to be filed level, it has to have good strings on it, it has to have good tuners on it. And kids these days, I shouldn't say kids, but people these days, they buy something for $100, and it sounds like crap. The guitar stores know that. They don't care if it's $900.
Sure.
It still sounds like crap. They have to be worked on for them to sound good.
Okay.
And it would actually make me feel good to set it up to where it's a good sounding instrument when I work on it and give it to somebody. And I just have a table about the size of this table in a room that I can do all that in. I got my first guitar when I was like 13. I've been tearing them apart since that time. I'm 62 now.
Okay.
So, been doing it for a while. Like I said, I'm retired. It's gonna give me something to do. These repair shops and these guitar shops these days, they act like they're mechanics.
Sure.
What's a mechanic cost for an hour? $100, $150 an hour?
Yeah.
Well, these guys charge that. When I was young, I used to cut grass. I was 13 years old, playing guitar, but I was cutting grass too. I would cut people's lawns for $2. Other guys charging $5.
Okay.
It ain't worth $5. It wasn't worth $5 then. Oh, well, whatever. To me, it was worth getting the repeat business, and the repeat business was usually the widowed old ladies, the widowed men that actually deserve the break.
Sure.
And I just want to give people a break. If it's a young kid, or if it's somebody like me, or an older person, whoever it is, they don't deserve to pay $150 an hour for somebody to work on their guitar for a couple hours and charge them $300 to work on it. I would charge $60, and I would probably work on it for 4 hours, but I would still only charge the 1 hour.
Sure.
I'm just trying to give something back that would actually make me feel good, like cutting those lawns when I was a kid. That's who I am.
What kind of one major concern would be traffic? What kind of traffic, cars coming and going, would you anticipate?
Well, I live right across the street from Adair Cemetery, and there's cars going in and out of there all the time.
Sure.
It's never been a problem. I've lived there for 31 years now. So I really don't anticipate a whole lot of.
But I mean, is this something that you think, like, 1 car at a time, 5 cars at a time? Like, how many customers do you have coming and going?
I'm anticipating 1 car at a time.
Everybody.
If I get 1 a week, I'll probably be happy, to tell you the truth. I don't know what I'm gonna get out here.
Sure.
It's a guitar repair shop in the middle of nowhere. You guys live in the middle of nowhere, but we do, because I just saw a herd of deer cross the road in front of me at the corner right here, so
Sure.
we really don't get a lot of traffic around here. Well, actually, we do Mount Palms Road, but I don't see the traffic being an issue. Like I said, I live right across the street from Adair Cemetery. You guys just put a new sign up there, by the way.
Yeah.
So I know how far back the sign's gotta be, because I plan on putting it pretty much right across, because that driveway is pretty much across from my driveway, so I don't see a problem with the traffic.
Steve and Karen, concerns or
No,
notes or comments?
just the only thing that, in our review for home occupations, it's just a part of the code that we just needs to be addressed and confirmed
Sure.
that you're gonna meet it. No article or service shall be sold or offered for sale on premises other than those incidental to the services offered by the home occupation or produced by the home occupation. So obviously it's just gonna be guitar repair.
That would be guitar strings, maybe guitar tuners, because they come with crappy tuners. And I would buy them and charge them for what I paid for, plus the hour, like I said, plus the hourly rate. So if I spent $10 on a pair of guitar strings and $30 on a pair of tuners, that's $40. I would charge them $40, plus the hourly rate. Like I said, I would probably charge for an hour and work out. So.
I think, Karen, what you're saying is that the point, what the ordinance says is the business can't evolve into selling things that have nothing to do with guitar repair, right? You're not gonna go in there and you're selling lawnmowers as well.
Well, no, and I imagine you're after, well, he's got a guitar over there, he's gonna sell the guitar, and he's gonna sell guitar straps, and gonna sell amplifiers.
Well, and that's all related, that's fine, that doesn't matter.
Well, actually, I wouldn't be doing that.
What the
I wouldn't be
ordinance,
selling lawnmowers either.
right, what the ordinance says is that the things that you, the service you provide or the things that you sell have to be directly related to what you're applying for.
Understood.
So if it's related to guitar repair, fine,
That's
sell
all it's gonna be.
You can't sell guitars now and a year later start selling caskets across the street for a deer. So
Not a bad idea. They could they be guitar shaped caskets?
I might actually get one of them.
There's always a loophole.
Any other concerns?
There's just two more. There shall not be any employee other than family members residing at the residence. I'm assuming it's just you and family.
Just me and my wife live there now.
Yes. And then, no storage or disposal of hazardous substances related to the home occupation.
No?
No more so than what's customarily found in a home.
Oh.
That's it.
Something like that. I was gonna ask if Budweiser in the refrigerator. This has, it could be, but not lately.
You have any other concerns? Okay, we want to make a motion to approve Mr. Bullock's
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion to approve the home occupation application, and I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
Thank you all.
Good luck to you, Mr. Bullock.
Thank you. Good
Like one that hit the
Get everybody's guitar.
Let's see.
I know where to go.
Hey, we're about means a lot.
Yeah.
If you put business guitar repair,
It really does, like us.
and then just put one of those to stick inside.
All right, and then sake of time, it's getting late. Let's
Because
keep
it's
moving
all
on.
subdivision laws. Okay.
Nope, not me.
Keith?
Yep.
That's him.
Oh, that's you.
The next thing we have, the next item on the agenda
Have a
is
good evening.
the special land use application, Hanzio Properties, RV and boat storage at 5739 County Line. Would you gentlemen like to step
Mr.
up?
Beck will need a signed application.
Good, sir, how are you?
And I
Just state your name.
I'll mail it to you.
Daniel, thank you
Or
for
when
coming
you're
tonight.
ready.
Tell us a little bit about what you want to do
Whatever
there on
works
your
best for you.
property.
Like I said,
There's an application. that
buildings
has
that
to
put
be filled
indoor
out with certain standards
RVs.
that are required. Yeah.
When would they be ready? One open building.
Well, once
Okay.
you.
Post
submit
frame, like
what's
pole barn
required,
construction,
Better,
or
Roll it, takes a look
freestanding
at
metal
it.
building, haven't gotten,
red iron?
yeah,
Oh,
red iron,
I
haven't
just have to
gotten
pull
like
it out.
that far yet.
So you can drive over tomorrow.
On the cost or however.
I'll
it's
get
going.
my
Yeah, pretty much, I would say probably pole barn.
You don't do anything all day.
Watch the TV.
How does this
Not
business,
after today.
I go to work.
how will this business and the business that's already being conducted on that property,
Have a good night. Thank you.
interact with each other? I mean, is there gonna be any,
They won't.
okay.
Two totally separate things.
I guess my question is, you don't have a concern with a guy bringing his boat there to park and, you know, I don't really know the full extent of your existing building, but I know you have semis and gravel trains and excavators and stuff like that. There's no, I mean,
Other than 100 feet of driveway, that'd be about the only thing we share.
okay.
No, it's, I mean, my plan, I guess, if this gets approved, is a true site plan, like that whole back thing, I wanna fence it in and everything else, like, like security code and all that.
Is that not gonna be lighted up back there too with those storage units?
Yeah, I'm sure I have some kind of lights that probably on the building or above each door kind of thing, I don't think it's gonna be like lit up parking lot. This isn't like storage, you're not bringing personal stuff, I mean, what people are gonna be like during the day, I'd imagine. So.
I think, I mean, just from my experience, I think you might be surprised how much evening and night traffic you get, like you got a guy, maybe he's coming home from up north and he's got, can't bring the camper home, so he's, he's bringing it in at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday night, and not that that's a bad thing, but it's something to, think about. Looking at, okay,
Existing concrete, existing building. Here's your existing.
yeah,
This is all back here.
yeah. So they come in, and basically the road comes in all the way straight back to the proposed storage area. The
Yeah.
trucking activities would come in and make that immediate right-hand turn into the trucking yard. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Wasn't there some concerns when Great Lakes Trucking was gonna come in on the adjacent parcel, that big county easement that cuts through there? Is that in your property as well, or are you aware of that?
That's in the back end.
That's in the back of the unit.
It's to the east of this, I believe.
Yeah, I don't have
The only thing I got is that, whatever the creek that I gotta deal with.
Remember what I'm talking about, that big, that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Semco, I thought it ran on somewhat of an angle.
Well, isn't it? I think there is like, out here, there's that gas meter here. Doesn't it run across on an angle through the property like this?
I believe so.
Something like that, like it runs, because if you look across county line through the trees here, it's clear.
Yeah, no, I
That
actually
way.
went over there.
And there's that triangle piece right here that like, technically, I think consumers own.
They do.
Yeah, because then like the farm started like here.
It was one of the issues that they.
Yeah,
it was-
yeah, because
I
I'm
remember when-
positive it ran like this way.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember looking at their site plan and they had a big, basically a green belt through the middle of their parking lot.
Yeah, consumers is over in that corner all the time.
Back here.
Grapple court, see that creek area?
Yeah.
Back in here, it's pretty wide, I mean, that, we don't drains it out.
Yeah, because their property wrapped behind mine and my neighbors, they had like an L back here.
Right.
So they're saying there's a big easement back here for them?
I was trying to remember.
Well, that little, yeah, I mean, that thing's like a foot deep,
Yeah.
whatever, I don't even know where that goes.
Isn't that Grapple Creek?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah. No, they've got these, names reversed. The engineer, I didn't catch it in time, this right here is that correct?
That's Karen.
Oh.
Yeah, he
That's
reversed.
the
Benoit.
Yeah,
That
Benoit
over
is
here.
back
Oh,
here.
yeah, I got it.
No, I counted, I just didn't have it
Yeah,
switch
you're
it on
right.
the road plans, on the next stuff we draw, I'll have them fix, no, this is the big ditch.
Happens, it just
This is because it
happens.
starts here,
Yeah.
and it actually starts here, and it comes, and then turns, yeah, right here, and then it turns and goes here. Yeah, the name is wrong, this name should be here. Okay, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I did catch that too.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's all, I just gotta have them reverse that. No, that back little ditch, whatever that is, like, that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's
nothing.
like a farmer's
Yeah.
ditch that he made, and he must have named it.
Just a swale. or
Yeah, it's nothing.
Fire suppression.
Yeah, Karen and Steve, do you guys have any input on this particular?
Yeah, this is just a preliminary special land use review, you guys will have to set the public hearing for it.
Okay.
But, you know, this is our initial review of the initial plans that were submitted. The applicant is proposing a storage facility on the east side of the property. The facility would include 3 indoor storage buildings, 2 measuring 38,000 square feet and 1 measuring 30,400. An outdoor storage area consisting of a concrete pad and overhead canopy consisting of 30 spaces measuring 50 feet by 12 feet is proposed at the northeast area. The applicant's going to need to confirm the height of the proposed structures and also include elevations and also a lighting plan as well. The self-storage warehouses, that's special land use that includes the following standards. The owner-operator shall not permit any business activities to be conducted from individual storage units. The purpose of storage warehouses shall be limited to storage of private property by businesses and individuals. Applicant shall confirm the standard is met. The minimum space between self-storage buildings shall be 30 feet. Where a one-way traffic pattern is used, and 60 feet if there is a two-way traffic movement. So the applicant should confirm the traffic pattern of the facility and how traffic is intended to move through. Every self-storage warehouse shall have an employee on site at all times during business hours. The applicant should confirm business hours and confirm that the standard will be met. And special land use.
And let me pause you right there. Just a quick question on this, because I'm thinking of another similar facility like this, which I also believe is in the township. This is a little bit different than like a storage facility where you, like your traditional lock and leave where you're putting personal belongings. This is like more or less just like a garage, right? Am I correct in that?
Kind of,
Yeah.
but there'd be no working, the only thing that'll be allowed will be like 1 plug per unit for a trickle charger. But there'll be absolutely no, you can't even wax your boat, nothing.
Okay.
There's no, it is, you back it in, you unhook, or you shut it off, and that's the end of it.
So does that requirement to still have an employee on site at all times still?
I mean, the self-storage warehouses encompasses, you know, I would say it encompasses a facility such as this.
Okay.
Something
to think
Somebody
about.
gotta be there, or can it be like a number to call?
I guess I'd have to look into
have to look
it,
at it.
understand
Because
what
like
it is.
most like mini stores, even if you go store your stuff, nobody's there. It's like, you punch it in, you
It's
scan a
gated
code,
community.
and you pay on a credit card. I mean, it's not, there's,
Right.
and that's how you get to your.
No,
box and everything.
that's
I mean,
why I'm.
everybody, I mean, I don't know any of them from North Point all the way up into the same ones in Richmond that he owns. They're all.
That's why I'm trying to understand this for
Yeah.
you and for us, because I know that I don't even know if there's a name on the building. Right there by Silence Lines and PK, the parking or the road striping.
Yeah.
Just beyond, right in
Right.
that same couple
Yes.
parcels is essentially this same thing. You drive through a gate and they're just private garages. But there's nobody on site, there's not even an office there.
Yeah, nobody
I
has
don't-
houses on these things anymore.
I don't know how you even go about renting one of those places other than their website, right?
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
So I'm just trying to understand how, what did they do that might be different than what Mr. Ponzio is proposing, or maybe we need to understand that part of the ordinance.
Is this gonna be like a closed-in garage type? Or
Yes.
is it gonna be open?
No, the three buildings are all garage doors and everything.
Yeah.
That would be open. That would be a canopy. I kind of put on there to see if
Okay.
it would get approved or not, because it just, for now, we can move it. I can, the building
So
can
these-
move, bigger, shrinker, whatever. I mean, this isn't like, just kind of what the engineer kind of put together for spacing to.
Sure.
So these here will have individual doors?
Yes. Yeah,
So-
everyone have their individual door.
Do you have a copy of the items that she's reading?
Yeah.
Perfect. So because one of the things I'm
And I
looking at, we're
talked
talking,
to her a couple times, so.
looking at traffic flow, you're at 54, 55 feet of spacing, so you're like almost right there to get two-way traffic. Maybe that's something you want to think about.
I'm not worried about putting arrows around or anything.
No, and not even necessarily for arrows, but, just one thing, just things to think about. Because obviously, somebody's thought about these dimensions before, right? So 60 feet is obviously a comfortable for two people to pass. I guess it's pretty wide.
It's pretty
but,
wide. I don't know. Roads aren't that wide, but.
But if you're trying to get a trailer backed into one of these units or something, those types of things.
And then our last concern was just the canopy at the north end. It does encroach into the required setback. It's supposed to have a 20-foot setback in the B2 district.
Yeah.
20-foot setback. Except there we go. So that's going to have to get moved slightly.
Moved, or I just eliminated it.
Yeah.
But I just put it in there for now, so then it doesn't have to be just an idea.
Yeah. Well, you got the room to do it. I mean,
Yeah,
if
it could
if
be
you move this
outside.
building to the 20-foot line and you shrink some of these spaces, it looks like based on,
If I shrink it, if I move that one to 20 feet, though, you won't have double-sided.
oh, right, that makes sense.
So the buildings are where they are, kind of thing, without shrinking those.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was trying to put 3 100-foot wide buildings in there,
I got you.
but it wouldn't work.
What else, Karen?
That's
Offset you.
all I have.
Yeah.
Did you have something? Look up here. You're like,
No,
here.
he's with me.
I'm with him, just-
He's with me.
Just listening,
No, he seemed like he wanted to maybe add something. Moral
Yeah,
support, I
that's
get it. So our next step is gonna be to make a motion to move to a public hearing, so that this can go in front of the public for site plan review, is that correct? Or for special land use. And then once the special land use is permitted or approved, then we would go into a site plan review, correct?
They're
That's
all,
not part of
they happen simultaneously.
So do you need updates
Yes,
to
we need
that plan?
We need an updated site plan in order to approve, or to make a determination on the special land use.
Okay. What do you need to see? Anything about?
The items in red,
The items
same
in
same
red.
letter.
Okay, so I don't need to have new building designs or show any of that yet, okay. Question though, within that, I eliminate the canopy in the 25-foot, where I have it right now, the 20-foot, am I allowed to have parking within that 20 feet, or do I still have to have like that, does that 20 feet have to be like a green belt? I guess, how about that?
I'll look and see what parking requirements would be.
Okay.
I can send that over to you for the B2 district.
Because I had the canopy, we can eliminate that, it could just be outside, because in my original, and I don't know if it would, I guess, carry through to this one, but I remember doing my special land use on the front part, is that I was allowed up to 75 pieces parked outside, or outside parking units or whatever, so I know I'd be underneath that. If that carries over, that's the only thing I was basing this off of, so I didn't,
Sure.
just, from the last time, but
Are we gonna have 24-hour access to this all the time? It's gonna be open all the time?
all the time, yeah, because then, when I gotta show that, I am going to put a gate across my yard, because I got a berm here, and there's like a hill here, so I was gonna put my own gate here.
Okay.
Right, so people can,
Like a coded gate, and they can type in their code
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
access it?
exactly, yeah, yeah, for here, mine will probably be manual, but, yeah, so somewhere over here, however.
So a gated entrance to the storage facility, gated entrance to the,
Yeah, so
other part.
people can't just pull in my yard with their camper and different things.
Right.
Just eliminate that.
That makes sense, people don't pay
Yeah, I
attention.
mean, I wanted it for a while, like I said.
Dan, do you think the 55 feet is really adequate?
I researched a whole bunch of these,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are even skinnier.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a lot better drive, of course, with my glasses, that's probably the problem.
If you ever go to a campground and see two people trying to pass with campers, you need more than you need 100
we
feet.
did. The engineer and I went, and I know some other people that own some of these in other states and different
Yeah.
things, and I asked, and they sent me site plans, and some were even 40 feet.
You're-
No, I was, so we tried, yeah, so I
Well,
figured
Michigan
three,
drivers.
tried to get 3, but yeah, so.
Tighten it up, then you can watch them and see who you want.
Oh, yeah.
See who you want to hire to back your other
Exactly.
trucks up, right?
Now, we've got Roland here. Dan, just for your edification, Roland, right now, he's showing like 38,000 square feet in each of these buildings.
In each building,
One's a little smaller, but,
yeah, you need fire suppression, I'm sure.
yeah.
That's a
With
question.
what? Off the well?
Well, I don't know, they've got dry, but I don't know how that all
I mean-
works. That's not my,
That's what I want to bring
Yeah,
up,
what's
Dan,
in there?
because that is something
Boats
you
in
need to
there.
research before you truthfully start spending a whole lot of money. Make sure you can handle that.
Boats in there,
that
they
you
got
want
gas
to
and
do.
oil in them. If they're boats, if there's
Is it just because of the
boats,
size of the
it's
building?
gas,
Yeah,
oil,
I believe,
it's
and
hot.
don't quote me on this, I'll look into it, but I believe Michigan Building Code says any structure over 12,000 square feet requires fire suppression.
So,
and it's 13,000, John, it's
13?
13 today.
like all them other like little
Yeah,
stores
Mr.
around
Monty
that,
says
like,
it
they just
right
gotta
there.
be under that thing, because or they'd have it, because I mean,
That's what we think you ought to research.
Mr.
before
Monty
we
says
get
it.
even
too
with the
far down
storage.
road.
I just know when I built my building, I wanted to go another 20 feet deeper, and it would have put me over 12,000, that's why we made it the size we did, so we wouldn't have to put fire suppression in it.
But is there a way to separate those buildings, Roland, so that?
Well, if you put a complete firewall, and don't quote me because if I
Okay,
don't have the
but
book in front
I
of
have
me, I'm
seen
not
that
gonna
in
make.
Mm.
where they separated the center wall, and
That's
then
what
every 4 or 6 stalls,
Right.
Yeah,
they would do it like that.
But you can cut that down, yeah. I mean,
So if I firewalled it, because I have seen that in some other ones too, there's one in Romeo like that,
yeah,
at 33 and Powell.
you'd have to do some
Steve,
checking
have you
on
run
that.
into that?
I believe I've seen it before, but I do believe they put a fire separation every certain amount of.
And so the
square
building
footage.
code will, okay.
Yeah.
And again,
quite honestly, for you, it'd be easier just to cut this thing up this way, not so much this way, but,
Yeah.
that way you go straight up and down, and,
John, those units you were talking about down the line there,
yeah,
those are all block. And
Correct.
They've got complete separation.
Yeah. So you could separate them into, I guess, like 3 or 4 sections, would be under,
yeah. And then you just have to put a firewall in, between those two particular units.
yeah. So
Something like this.
However fire, so many of them, and you
Right.
make 4 units out of it, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
That wouldn't really be that's how the guy in Romeo's got it.
I mean, most likely your truss package is gonna come with fire stop trusses anyways, so you just add a couple extra in there.
Yeah, but then, yeah,
See,
that's
he
right.
should have gotten.
Yeah.
Right, or whatever. I just haven't gotten to
Yeah.
down to the cost of that stuff yet,
Sure.
so.
for that special land use, Karen, that has to get mailed out, right, Brenda?
Yes, yes, we have to have it published in the paper a minimum of 15 days prior to the hearing, and property owners within 300 feet of the Ponzio property need to be notified at least 15 days before the hearing.
The reason I bring that up, as you know, it's residential on that side of the world.
Yeah, I know.
So just food for thought.
No, no, I know. Most of my neighbors like me. The one guy didn't move, so we're good.
You're good.
There was that guy that was directly
There you
across
go.
the street. He didn't like me. I've helped out everybody else, so.
Gotcha.
So,
I think, anybody else have any other questions or comments on this?
Just one quick comment, Mr. Chairman, and Dan, this is probably just me, but early in the morning, God knows on one county line once in a while, can you redirect those lights?
I had a call. The electrician was, I don't have anything that reached that high.
Yeah.
So the electrician wasn't done, and he's supposed to.
If you could take a look at that.
No, we know about it. So.
When you come over the hill, you're like, whoa.
It kind of hits you,
Yep.
right? Woke me up one morning, and probably a good thing.
No, I know, and I have a call into him, so he's supposed to come back with it, because when they did it, it was daytime.
Do you feel comfortable with what you got here, information?
Yeah, other than just
Are
to
we
know if I
helping you?
can park within my 20-foot
Yeah, let me
easement,
see
whether
what
it's
the
gravel or
parking
concrete.
requirements are.
I can address the other stuff's easy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and then, yeah, no, that's, the rest of it's.
All right, well, with that being said, I'll make a motion to move this forward to a public hearing for special land use for Ponzio properties. And how does the timing of that work? Are we responsible, or he's responsible for getting the information to Brenda within that timeline, or?
No, I've got all the neighboring property owners identified. Just need to confirm the language with Karen and Steve. The language for the publication will need to be between Karen and Steve and myself. Generally, would it not be at their next regularly scheduled monthly meeting?
If you can make it to the paper in time. Now remember, you've got to be the voice paper a week ahead of time,
Well-
in 15 days, so it's
I'll-
usually, you're gonna need it tomorrow morning then, to make it?
I'll need a calendar.
Yeah.
I'll
see,
need a calendar.
I would suggest that we say the next available meeting their deadlines.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
All right, so
that's a month,
with
right?
Steve's recommendation, the motion for a public hearing for special land use at the next meeting if the timelines permit.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
Carried.
Thank you, sir, good luck to you.
If there's a third,
Thanks, Dan.
it'll be the
All right, thank you.
If it's in by the
Don't
first.
quote me on that now.
I will check
All right.
it out.
I appreciate it.
But there's,
So we have
33
the
in Powell, we've
election of
got the same
planning
building,
commission
that's where I got the
next
idea.
month. The next
These are
item on
100 foot wide,
the
and
agenda is
he
the planner's
separated,
report.
I don't know if it's his trust plan or whatever, but the center wall,
Karen, Steve,
so they have,
provided
for each
me.
side's 50, but there's,
Report.
it's
You want
just
I-
pole barn 10 on the back.
Beautiful. Moving on.
Then every 4,
Report from
like
committees.
bays or 6,
Anything
then
from
he's
the
got
ZBA or any
firewalls
other
right
committees?
now. So that would make
Sometimes they gotta
sense.
go right through the roof, is that
Which-
what they did
Nothing
there?
there.
No, you know what they do?
All right.
If you go on the
Session
website, I think you
two,
can look
master
inside, they didn't
plan
go all the way
update.
out. So I'll have to find, my brother,
Revert back to you on
he's the one
this
that
one,
built the
Karen?
office, he
Yeah.
does all that commercial, he knows all those codes.
Yeah.
So I'll get with him and ask him, that's what he does, all commercial work, so, yeah, so he knows all about it, cause he mentioned that to me, so, you know, you might have to do the, which is fine.
What your last
So,
future land use
okay.
plan was.
Well, I'll find out,
And
thank you.
if there might need to be some areas for reconsideration for the future land use plan. You know, sometimes when, you know, you come up with a plan, you're anticipating growth, you're anticipating stuff in certain areas, and maybe certain things change. So I guess more of a review of the future land use plan compared to what your current zoning map is, and deciding if some areas need to be looked at more closely.
Okay. Any comments on that?
No, I just on the left, but Steve,
I'm here.
Where is
I
she?
moved up.
Change seats.
Moved up. Play musical chairs.
there you are. That's bad.
Just take out one of the lenses.
No.
We have a monocle.
No idea. The, one of the items that came up again, that Brenda kind of caught for us, was this right of way, Steve, where we had well, Brenda, tell us what happened.
Well,
We had-
Mr. McNiff from the Road Commission happened to come by on a building matter last week. And he was mentioning dedicated right-of-way that the St. Clair County Road Commission puts in place. And he came across a particular instance where the municipality that he was involved with did not update their master plan to meet the standards set by the Road Commission for their dedicated right-of-way. And so the person that happened to be involved in this thing had to dismantle what they had done because they followed their township's right-of-way ordinance, but the county superseded that. And so he asked that we touch base with our planner, which I did today with Karen, and provided her with Mr. McNiff's phone number, because he had some questions about our current master plan and what our future master plan update might entail. And so I don't know if Karen had that opportunity, but that's where we left off.
And Steve and Karen, I was gonna suggest when Brenda and I get together, we might even put a little letter together, Mike, as folks are coming in to work on development with us, that they absolutely call the road commission and understand where their future right-of-way is. On the flip side of that whole deal, little story here, but I mean, our friends Palms Road and 26 Mile Road. And it was pretty upsetting for me, quite frankly. We did a lot of work with the gas station. You know, there was a lot of things that happened over there that worked out. But I have to tell you, we, to my knowledge, never saw a plan of the roundabout. And I did have a chance to question them about that once. And Gina, the answer was not good. So we have to do it, is what I'm saying. And we have to do it through the petitioner. And that's why I think, Brenda, we may add that to our packet. We may want to discuss that with Roland and Joe before we do it, obviously. But it's just something, John, I think we need to look at, because, you know, you get down the road, these people, they spend all this money, and then all at once, you know, we've got landscaping, we got all this stuff. And we find out, oh, by the way, you've got the wrong right-of-way as far as we're concerned. So that's not fair. Yes, sir.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So can the county just change how much right of way they have whenever they feel like it without telling people? Or no? Because that sounds like kind of like what they might be doing, is saying, well, you guys already had this and you guys are basing it off what we had. Well, we're taking more now, so, oh well.
What they
I think
do,
we can.
yeah, is probably somewhere in the archives, a letter was sent to someone in the township, and it maybe didn't get filtered down, or something.
Is there any way we could fight those roundabouts being put in, because they're not any better. The way that they're being built around here, so the ones that are built out in Macomb County, they work great, like the one on 26, because it's wide enough and you don't go to the right to go to the left to go back to the right.
Yeah.
The one St. Clair County is built, if you're hauling a trailer, you're going over those curbs, and they built them, well, that's what those are meant for. You're not meant to drive over curbs with stuff, and you have to literally go to the right and then back to the left to go back into the roundabout. And they're not big enough. The one on 32 is not big enough for trucks and trailers.
I'll make a suggestion.
I mean, I don't know if the township can fight against
Well,
them.
if we're going to try and do something, at least let them know we're alive and well out here. We need letters from folks like you. And a letter to Joe Stevens would probably help us. Joe will bounce it off of us, Roland, and maybe we can put it at least in the right direction. It's the same thing as my little hang-up is with solar energy and with wind. And folks, I'm just telling you, if we're not cautious, we're not gonna have our open space here in Casco. They're gonna take it. So, you know, there's not a lot we can do, but we can sound our horns. And it's something that we've talked a little bit with Karen and Steve about. And Steve is probably, if we ask him on an update for the solar energy and the mine, what are you hearing from Lansing right now? Anything?
Lansing's moving full head, full steam ahead. There is a grassroots referendum being, signature petitions being circulated, that is being supported by the Michigan Township Association. They need to get, don't quote me on it, like 362,000 signatures in order to make the November ballot, which would basically have a vote of the people to determine whether local communities could regulate solar facilities.
Wow,
Yeah, it's huge.
wow.
Is it something we should look at, Steve?
Certainly should, and sign the petition when it comes by, if you're, that's what you're inclined to do.
Okay. We need to discuss that.
To get back to this gentleman's, there's usually a master plan that's adopted by the counties after a public hearing that sets aside the road rights of way. I'm the planner in Lennox Township, and this same issue happened in Lennox Township not too long ago with the storage facility. The maps in Lennox showed 86-foot wide right of way, and that's what the right of way that the Macomb County Department of Roads had acquired. But they were insisting now that this storage facility meet the 120 right of way. Because that's what their new adopted master plan said. So these guys are sharp enough to say, that's fine, you're taking more of my property, you pay for it.
Right.
And that's pending now. But what Lennox did do in order to resolve this situation is now when a site plan comes in, they ask for an additional copy and they send it to the road commission, the road departments, for their review. So they'll catch it up front. So in this case, we could ask for one additional copy, forward it to St. Clair County, and ask for their input. If they don't provide it, at least they've had the chance.
Right. Do you think it's also important to look at this same topic in terms of the county drain commission? Because I know when we built our facility, we actually were asked nicely, I'll put it that way, to put our culvert 30 feet back from the existing ditch line for anticipated widening of 26 Mile Road. We did it because we didn't want to be tore up when they do it, but we didn't have to because it wasn't a actual, it wasn't actually on the books yet. But I think it's, kind of goes hand in hand with right of ways and.
Certainly can. I go to Clinton Township, we always did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always ask for both.
Okay.
If I may comment, generally after any of the applicants and petitioners meet your approval, there's a meeting that takes place between the applicant, your representative, just like you mentioned with Mr. Ponzio and the Perch Point Group. We get clearance from the Road Commission, the Drain Commission, any of those St. Clair County entities before the building permit application is accepted. They may not find it out at your table because you're dealing with what they've submitted, but once we have that meeting, we make sure that we get those approvals from those St. Clair County entities. If we don't have the approvals, they don't get their building permit.
Okay.
So that's kind of a safeguard, but anything that you can add before it gets to us, it's just kind of a double defense.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, we certainly will put the right of ways, we'll contact your road commission, put the proposed rights of way on the map.
That is great.
Excellent.
It is.
Or a separate map that has the road rights of ways, whatever.
Sure.
Gotcha.
One thing I missed on this session 2 master plan update is the opportunity for public comment on the master plan. I know Mr. Graber already gave his. Is there any other public comments on the master plan?
You try.
All right.
So we're at the point, like Karen had indicated, we need to start developing our new master plan map, future land use. And you've had a lot of discussion over the years, last year or two, about that south quarter, the south section, how it matches with zoning. We have a large zoning area that shows office. and the master plan is we need to start getting into this detail. So we're probably not prepared to do it today with just 3 or 4 of you, but for sure, I want to urge the planning commission to look at it thoroughly and and come back next meeting with some suggestions.
Fair enough.
I'd say look at your, in your future land use plan, you have areas labeled as office. I know we had discussed maybe or looking at the office district, figuring out how to make it a little bit more mixed use. So maybe that area might get utilized more efficiently. In your future land use plan, you have lots of areas designated for recreation. Determine if any of those should expand or if other areas have come up.
And then the amount of industrial you have.
No, I think that'll work, Steve, and today, as you well know, you almost need the 2 safeguards to make sure it happens. So we're gonna push on the side of our petitioners to get those plans in and reviewed. On the other side, we can do our thing with the paper, Karen, and hopefully we get our bases covered, okay? One other comment before we, I believe, in a position to close. We had something very nice happen with our gal, Brenda. And she is now, and correct me if I'm wrong, the administrative assistant to the planning commission with our liaison, Gina, to our township board. And Brenda, just real briefly, what does that entail for you right now?
Well, basically, what we're trying to do, and this is by board direction, draw in the folks who are going to be managing information, your agendas, your minutes, the draft minutes, and the approved minutes. We've had a bit of a breakdown over the last couple of years, and we've seen instances where, and I'm just going to point out, I believe at your January meeting, you had no agenda. That's very difficult to conduct business efficiently and effectively. And so the board has directed me, and I have a copy for each one of you of what has transpired. And I know you have not yet appointed your officers, but the key players will be Chris, as she'll be taking your minutes, and whoever you appoint your secretary. So whoever it's determined between Chris and your secretary as to draft minutes and meeting minutes. There will be deadlines that have to be met, and the contact and email number addresses of the people who will need to receive those draft minutes and approved minutes by the deadline. The agenda, I'm thinking that the Metro Planning will be looking at your hoop building ordinance tonight, and that of the 15 to 30 days for notification and applications to the Planning Commission. So once that 15 to 30 day ordinance is adopted, published, and finalized, that will give us much more latitude than the 15 days that we've got right now. So there's going to be a little latitude there, but hopefully what we're trying to do is just make certain of people the contact people, so everyone knows who is doing what.
Gotcha.
All right, and Gina will be the contact person. Any concerns that the Planning Commission has that needs to be taken to the board will be taken through Gina, and any direction that the board has for the Planning Commission will also come through Gina. And these meetings that I mentioned earlier that we have after everything passes you, Gina, Keith, the representatives, Roland, myself, Karen and or Steve if they're available, and Mr. Monty as well. We finalize all of those things before it gets to the building department. So that's pretty much what's going to happen.
Great. Awesome. So I call it, I think I've got a new name for her. I call her our gatekeeper. And she's going to keep an eye on me for sure. and then, and the rest of us, and in all seriousness, you have been doing that.
I have
and
been.
Yes. We just finally got a good name, position for you. I think it's gonna work well to help us coordinate things, because it's, as you can tell, I mean, things are not getting any easier, right, Karen? It seems like we're pushing a lot of paper and trying to keep all the elements in line, so. Back to you, John.
Okay. I think that covers everything. Anybody else have any other comments, anything else that they wanted to address? Make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried.
Great job, John.